Ed Orgeron met with the media on Tuesday after practice. And, of course, he was asked about Peter Parrish, who was absent for the first couple of practices of spring drills and confirmed what many of us probably assumed.
Peter Parrish has been suspended from the team, definitely, for violation of the team rules. I don't know when he's going to be back.
Was Peter a part of off-season?
No, Peter hasn't been with us for a while.
So, Peter Parrish, suspended indefinitely, violation of team rules, not part of off-season workouts. As Ed said there, he's not been with us for a while. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, right? Last week on Wednesday when Ed Orgeron met with the media to preview spring, he was asked about the quarterbacks and how they were divvying up reps, and he said Myles is going to take all the first-team reps, and the two young quarterbacks will split the second-team reps, without mention of Peter Parrish. That essentially, we flagged it then, and that was the writing on the wall, which now we know. I've been asked if Peter Parrish is going to return to the team. I don't know, but I'll give you some more thoughts on that. But one more from Orgeron on the quarterbacks. He was asked, this is 3 Musso, if the two freshmen will be able to push Brennan in spring.
We'll see. It's going to take them some time. Obviously, Myles has a big jump on him right now, which is good. That's what you want your first-team quarterback to do. But I think eventually one of those guys will be able to push him. And if they can't push him, obviously they have to be ready to go in the game if he gets hurt. And I think that's what I'm concerned with right now.
I don't blame him. Essentially, after your unproven junior quarterback, you have two true freshmen who haven't played. You don't have a quarterback on the roster. Brennan, I shouldn't say that hasn't taken a meaningful snap. Brennan did take meaningful snaps as a freshman. He certainly took meaningful snaps in the Troy game, and he was playing in that 2017 season. And then obviously they elected to go the rest of the season, have Danny Etling finish out the string, try to win as many games as they could, and then 2018 they moved on to Burrow, redshirted Myles. We all know the story. But LSU's in a precarious spot where you really don't have experience at the most important position on the field. But specifically with Peter Parrish, and it's always going to be relevant because whenever there's a conversation about a quarterback, it's going to be relevant. I will mention, though, that almost 75%, roughly 3 out of every 4 quarterbacks that sign, transfer and finish their career somewhere other than the place which they originally signed. So if Peter Parrish doesn't return to LSU, that's an if. I'm not telling you I know. I would be guessing at this point. If he doesn't return, that wouldn't be a great surprise. LSU clearly is looking at an offense where they're running spread concepts and they throw it around a bunch, and they've got 2 quarterbacks in Max Johnson and TJ Finley that physically and with their skill set are very different than what Peter Parrish ran in Alabama. It's not to say that Parrish couldn't assimilate into this offense, but if you're looking at the stylistically, Johnson and Finley are big, giant kids with big arms, and that's not what Peter Parrish is. So it would stand to reason that he may look for a different opportunity where the offense that they're running more suits his skill set. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But I will say this, specifically with regards to if Parrish might return. We have seen Ed Orgeron not give up on players. We have seen him work to get kids opportunities to earn their way back into his program. In 2017, do you remember Arden Key after his fantastic sophomore year in 2016? Arden Key took a leave from the team. Do you remember that? And then he returned for the 2017 season. How about most recently with Mike Divinity? Divinity was suspended for 6 games. His college career, for all intents and purposes, was over. And Ed Orgeron was willing to be patient with Divinity, welcomed him back. He went through practice and ultimately was able to return for the national championship game in his hometown. It was an awesome thing to see. How about Justin Thomas? Left the team, was not enrolled in school, now has re-enrolled, is back with the LSU football team, and figures to be a pretty big factor on the defensive line in this new 4-3 as a 4-3 defensive end. Dare Rosenthal, guy who's your presumptive starting left tackle, is no longer enrolled in school for whatever issue he's dealing with personally. And Ed said, you'll welcome him back in the summer and in time for fall if it comes to that. I like the fact that Ed doesn't give up on players. And the fact that sometimes when you're 18, 19, 20, 21, maybe you make bad decisions or things happen in your life that are going to distract you from the responsibility of being a scholarship athlete at a place like LSU. But instead of just being cast aside, you're given the opportunity to get your life in order and then rejoin the team. I like that Ed does that, and he's done it consistently. It's not to say that that's going to be the path that every student-athlete follows, but it's been the case enough to where that policy has served him and the player well that he should continue with it, and maybe that's going to be the case for Peter Parrish, or maybe not. But either way, I do applaud Ed for having that approach in situations like this. Ed, when he met with the media yesterday, on Tuesday, was also asked about Scott Linehan and Bo Pelini, the two new coordinators, passing game coordinator and defensive coordinator, and how they're fitting in right now with their players.
I mean, the players have, Scott Linehan is an old pro. He's very knowledgeable. The guys like him because of the guys he's coached, so he's brought in some film of Megatron and that stuff, and those guys are going to watch that. And obviously, Bo's demeanor, his tempo, he's a lot like I am. He's going to get after him, but he's going to love him. And I think more or less I sit in the defensive meeting, I see him capturing his group more and more.
And one more from Ed Orgeron. I have been so interested in watching the offensive line. You listen to the show, we've talked about 3 position groups: quarterback, linebacker, offensive line. Offensive line, you lose 4 of your top 6 contributors from a year ago. You're replacing center, left guard, left tackle. So one of the guys that we're assuming will step in at left guard is Cardell Thomason. Now, he's not running with the first team right now, based on the limited action that the media has been able to see. But he's coming off a devastating injury where, he had the Nick Fitzgerald injury. The broken ankle with a dislocation where his foot was pointing in the wrong direction. And he's now said that on the record, so we mentioned indirectly throughout the course of the season after that injury happened when people were asking if he was going to come back. He was not coming back from that last year. But he did a remarkable job just to get back to be able to be in pads at practice for bowl practice. But Cardell Thomas is a guy, a former 5-star who LSU very well could be counting on to be a starter at left guard. Here's Ed on Cardell.
Cardell, first of all, has to learn his place. Very aggressive, very strong, just consistency and getting healthy again and getting in shape and more or less learning the offense and be able to adjust to the speed of the game. But you know what? He's strong. He's a big bull in there, and he should vie for some playing time.
I think that is maybe the position group that's most interesting to watch in spring, to see how that all shakes when you go into fall, to see who's going to have jobs locked down. Ed Ingram and Austin Deculus are going to be 2 of your starters, but you got 3 jobs up for grabs. Who's going to win them? Maybe Cardell Thomas is one of them.